My sister faked her pregnancy for our family's inheritance, so I waited until her baby shower to ask where the ultrasound was. You never forget the smell of your father's study, the sandalwood incense he burned during important decisions, the leather-bound ledgers from his import business, the faint scent of green tea that always lingered in the air. That's where everything changed. I'm Natalie. I was 38 years old when my father called us both into his study after Sunday dinner. My sister Claire sat beside me on the worn velvet couch, her hand resting protectively on her stomach. She was 6 months pregnant, she'd announced 2 weeks earlier, beaming as she showed us the positive test. Dad looked older than his 65 years that night. His eyes were tired, but there was a new light in them, a grandfather's hope. "Girls," he began, voice thick with emotion. "You know our family business has always gone to the eldest son. But since you're both daughters," he paused, glancing at Claire's belly, "I've decided to leave everything, the business, the house, the trust fund, to Claire and her child." My breath stopped. "Dad, what about me?" He reached across the coffee table, squeezing my hand. "Natalie, you have your own successful career. You don't need the business. But Claire, she'll be a single mother. She needs this security." Claire sniffled delicately. "I never asked for this, Dad. I just want what's best for my baby." I wanted to scream, to point out that Claire had never held a job longer than 6 months, that she'd maxed out 3 credit cards last year, that she'd been living in my guest room until 3 months ago when she suddenly claimed she needed her own space for the baby. But I stayed silent. Because in our family, questioning your father's decision was unthinkable, especially when a grandchild was involved. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every detail. Claire's announcement had come suspiciously fast after Dad mentioned updating his will. Her morning sickness seemed to only happen when no one was watching, and she'd refused to let anyone touch her stomach. The doctor said it's too sensitive right now. But the real red flag? She'd never shown us an ultrasound. When I gently asked about it over coffee the next morning, she waved it off. "Oh, you know how it is. Blurry blob, nothing exciting to see. Besides, I'm superstitious. Don't want to jinx it." Something about the way she avoided my eyes made my stomach churn. 2 days later, I found her bathroom trash can suspiciously empty. No pregnancy test wrappers, no prenatal vitamin bottles. Just a single receipt from a costume shop dated the day before her announcement. My blood ran cold. What if I couldn't accuse her without proof? In our culture, calling someone a liar about pregnancy wasn't just rude, it was shameful. It could destroy her reputation forever. But if she was faking this, if she was stealing my inheritance through deception, I needed irrefutable evidence, and I knew exactly where to get it. Dad's birthday was in 3 weeks. Claire had insisted on throwing him a grandfather's celebration, a baby shower disguised as a family party. She'd invited everyone, aunts, uncles, cousins, even Dad's oldest business partners. Perfect. If she was going to lie to 200 people, I'd make sure they all saw the truth together. Let me tell you about Claire before she became the architect of this elaborate lie. We grew up in the same modest house in San Francisco's Richmond district. Same strict parents, same expectations to excel, same pressure to marry well. But while I buried myself in textbooks and internships, Claire mastered the art of getting what she wanted through charm and tears. She was beautiful. Long black hair, perfect skin, that effortless grace that made strangers compliment her posture. Teachers adored her. Boys fell at her feet. Even our parents, usually so stern, would soften when she pouted. I was the opposite. Serious. Studious. The daughter who brought home straight A's but never learned to flirt or flatter. Dad called me his little scholar. Mom called me too intense. When I got into Stanford on a full scholarship, Claire threw a tantrum. "Why does she get everything?" she sobbed to Mom. "I'm prettier than her." At 25, I launched my own marketing agency. By 30, I was making 6 figures. Claire bounced from boyfriend to boyfriend, each one wealthier than the last, each relationship ending when they realized she expected them to pay for everything. 3 years ago, she moved back home after her latest breakup left her broke. "Just until I get back on my feet," she promised. But back on her feet meant borrowing my car, using my credit card for emergencies, and complaining that my success made her feel inadequate. Then Dad started talking about retirement, about who would take over Chen Imports, the business he'd built from nothing after immigrating from Guangzhou in 1978. "It should stay in the family," he'd say, looking pointedly at me. "You understand business, Natalie." For the first time, Claire seemed genuinely interested in the company. She'd ask questions about inventory, sit in on meetings, even offer to help with social media. I thought she was finally growing up. I was wrong. Her pregnancy announcement came exactly 1 week after Dad mentioned drafting a new will that would split everything equally between us. Coincidence? I didn't think so. The more I watched her, the more inconsistencies I noticed. She never ate pickles or ice cream like pregnant women supposedly craved. She wore loose dresses but never maternity clothes. She complained about kicking, but her stomach never moved under her hands. And she refused all medical appointments when I offered to drive her. "My OB is very private," she'd say. "No visitors allowed." But here's what really sealed it. I checked her phone bill. She'd left it on my kitchen counter. No calls to any obstetrician's office. No appointments scheduled anywhere. Meanwhile, she'd started dropping hints to relatives. "Dad's being so generous with the inheritance. I just want my baby to have the same opportunities Natalie had." She wasn't just faking a pregnancy. She was weaponizing our father's desire to be a grandfather. And I was running out of time. Dad's health had been declining. His doctor said he might not see another year. If Claire's fake baby arrived before he passed, the inheritance would be hers forever. I needed to act fast, but not recklessly. In our family, public shame was worse than death. If I accused her privately, she'd deny it, cry, play the victim. Dad would believe her because he wanted to believe in his grandchild. No, this needed a stage, an audience, a moment so undeniable that even Dad couldn't look away. And Claire had already planned it for me, her baby shower. I started investigating like a detective. First, I visited every OB/GYN office within 10 miles of Claire's apartment, showed them her photo, asked if she was a patient. Every single receptionist shook their head. "Never seen her?" Then I checked local hospitals' maternity wards. Same result. Next, I dug into her social media. Deleted posts, archived stories, even her Pinterest boards. Buried in her baby inspiration pins was something odd. A screenshot of a fake ultrasound generator website. The kind where you upload a photo and it creates a realistic-looking sonogram. My hands shook as I saved it. But I needed more. Something physical. I waited until she went to yoga class. Another inconsistency. Pregnant women don't do hot yoga at 6 months. And searched her apartment. Not thoroughly, that would be crossing a line, but I checked obvious places. Her bedroom closet held stacks of baby clothes still in packaging. Expensive ones. All receipts paid with Dad's credit card. Her bathroom cabinet contained prenatal vitamins, with expiration dates from 2019. But the real treasure was in her nightstand drawer, a pregnancy pillow stuffed with newspaper instead of foam, and a belly prosthetic, the kind actors use, with makeup sponges to blend the edges. I took photos of everything. Documented dates, times, locations. Still, I hesitated. Exposing her would devastate Dad. He'd lose not just his grandchild dream, but his trust in his youngest daughter. At his age, that kind of betrayal could break him, but letting her steal everything would be worse. The business was Dad's life work. The house held Mom's memory. The trust fund was meant to secure both our futures, not fund Claire's next shopping spree. I called my lawyer. If someone fraudulently claims pregnancy to influence a will, is that actionable? "Absolutely," he said. "It's testamentary fraud. We can contest the will, but we need proof presented before the inheritance transfers," which meant I had to act before Dad died, or before Claire's fake due date. Her baby was due in 8 weeks. Dad's health was deteriorating faster than expected. Time was running out. Then Claire announced the baby shower date, Dad's birthday, 3 weeks away. "A double celebration," she'd chirped, hugging him tight. "Grandpa's special day and baby's welcome party." She'd even ordered a custom cake with pink and blue swirls and the words, "Welcome, little one." That's when I knew my moment had come. I wouldn't confront her privately. I wouldn't give her a chance to spin another lie. I'd wait until she stood before our entire family, surrounded by gifts and balloons and her carefully constructed fantasy. And then I'd ask the one question she couldn't answer. "Where's the ultrasound?" Because real pregnancies have proof. Fake ones have excuses. And I was done accepting excuses. The day of the shower arrived wrapped in sunshine and pastel decorations. Claire had transformed Dad's backyard into a fairy tale. White string lights, flower arches, tables piled high with tiny outfits and plush toys. Aunts cooed over onesies. Uncles debated whether the baby would favor Claire or the mystery father, who notably had never been seen or named. Dad sat in his favorite wicker chair, beaming, a stack of gift boxes at his feet. He kept touching Claire's stomach like he could feel the baby through her dress. My stomach twisted. This was cruel, beautiful but cruel. I wore a simple navy dress. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw attention. I wanted to be invisible until the right moment. The party flowed smoothly. Speeches about fatherhood and legacy. Games where guests guessed baby names and due dates. Claire opened presents with practiced delight, thanking everyone for their generosity toward my little miracle. Then came the cake-cutting ceremony. As Claire positioned herself beside Dad for photos, the MC announced, "Let's capture this precious moment, Grandpa Chen meeting his grandchild for the first time." That was my cue. I stepped forward, smiling warmly. Claire, before we cut the cake, I was wondering, could you show everyone the ultrasound? Aunt Linda's been asking about it all afternoon. Silence fell like a guillotine. Claire's smile froze. The ultrasound? Yes, I said gently. The one from your last appointment. Everyone's so excited to see the baby's face. Her eyes darted around the crowd. Oh, you know how those things are. Just blurry blobs. Nothing to see. But you showed me one last month, I pressed, keeping my voice light. Remember? When we had coffee? You said it was the clearest image your doctor had ever seen. Panic flashed in her eyes. I must have forgotten to save it. Aunt Linda frowned. Claire, dear, I'm a nurse. All ultrasounds are automatically saved to patient portals these days. Surely you have access? Claire's hands fluttered to her stomach. My doctor is very old-fashioned. Doesn't use computers. Uncle Robert, Dad's business partner, spoke up. I know Dr. Martinez at Pacific Women's Clinic. Best OB in the city. Is that who you see? Claire paled. No, I go to someone private. Then let's call them right now, I said, pulling out my phone. I'll video chat so everyone can say hello to your doctor. No! The word burst from her like a sob. Please, Natalie, don't embarrass me. Embarrass you? I asked softly. Or expose you? Dad finally looked up, confused. Girls, what's going on? I turned to him, heartbreaking. Dad, Claire isn't pregnant. The gasps were deafening. Claire collapsed onto a nearby chair, hands covering her face. It's not true. She's jealous. She's always hated me. Then show us proof, I said firmly. Take off your dress. Let Aunt Linda examine you. Real pregnant women at 6 months can't hide it. Aunt Linda, ever practical, stepped forward. Claire, stand up. Let me feel your stomach. Claire shook her head violently. No, you'll hurt the baby. There is no baby, I said, my voice cracking. There never was. I pulled out my phone and showed Dad the photos. The fake ultrasound generator, the expired vitamins, the belly prosthetic. I've been documenting everything for weeks. She's been lying to get your inheritance. Dad's face crumpled, not with anger, with profound sadness. Claire, is this true? She looked at him, really looked at him, and something in her broke. Tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry, Daddy. I wanted you to be proud of me, like you are of Natalie. Oh, baby, Dad whispered, reaching for her. I'm always proud of you. But this is not the way. The party dissolved into chaos, some relatives comforting Claire, others glaring at her with disgust, a few quietly leaving. But Dad stayed seated, holding his daughter's hand, his dreams of grandchildren replaced with the harsh reality of her desperation. And me? I felt no triumph, only grief, for the sister I thought I knew, for the father whose heart was breaking, for the family that would never be the same, but also relief. The truth was out, and no amount of lies could change it now. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Claire moved out that same night, not dramatically, just packed a suitcase while everyone was distracted and left without saying goodbye. She texted me 3 days later. I'm checking into a facility. Tell Dad I'm sorry. Dad spent a week in bed barely eating. When he finally emerged, he called us both into his study, the same room where he'd changed his will. I was wrong, he said simply. Love shouldn't be conditional on grandchildren. Success shouldn't be measured by biology. He tore up the new will and reinstated the original, one that split everything equally between us. But Claire refused her share. I don't deserve it, she wrote in a letter. Keep it. Build something real with it. For months, I didn't hear from her. Then slowly, updates trickled in through mutual friends. She'd enrolled in community college, started therapy, got a part-time job at a bookstore. No mention of boyfriends or luxury brands, just quiet, steady progress. Dad's health stabilized once the stress lifted. He even started mentoring young entrepreneurs again, his spark slowly returning. As for me, I used my inheritance to expand my marketing agency, but with a new focus, helping small family businesses navigate succession planning honestly. No more inheritance dramas on my watch. But the real victory came 6 months later. I was having coffee with Dad when my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Can we talk? I'm clean, really clean this time. We met at our old childhood park, the one with the cherry blossom trees. She looked different. Thinner, yes, but also lighter, like she'd shed more than just weight. I'm sorry, she said before I could speak. Not just for the pregnancy lie, but for every time I made you feel like you weren't enough. I was so jealous of your strength that I tried to steal your life instead of building my own. I studied her face, the absence of makeup, the genuine remorse in her eyes. Are you in therapy? 2 years now, she said. Turns out I didn't need a fake baby to be worthy. I just needed to stop running from myself. We talked for hours. About Mom's death when we were teens. About Dad's impossible expectations. About how we'd both been trying to fill a void neither of us understood. It wasn't instant forgiveness. Trust takes time to rebuild. But it was a start. Spring returned to the Cherry Blossom Park. Claire sat beside me on our favorite bench, her hands wrapped around a steaming teacup. She'd been sober for 14 months, working full-time as a paralegal, living in her own apartment, paid for with her own salary. Dad had thrown her a real birthday party last month. No ultrasounds, no baby gifts, just family and good food. She'd cried when he handed her a small box containing Mom's jade bracelet. "You're my daughter," he'd said. That's enough. I'd started seeing a therapist too. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I'd spent my whole life competing with Claire instead of supporting her. Sibling rivalry becomes toxic when love feels scarce, my therapist explained. But your father's love was never limited. You just didn't know how to share it. Claire stirred her tea. I have something to tell you. My heart jumped. Are you? No, she laughed, a real warm sound I hadn't heard in years. Not pregnant, but I'm engaged. She showed me a photo of a kind-faced woman named Sarah, a teacher who'd helped Claire through her darkest days. She sees me, Claire said simply. Not the version I pretend to be. Just me. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm so happy for you. We sat in comfortable silence as petals drifted around us. No competition, no jealousy. Just two sisters who'd finally found their own paths. Later that week, I updated my will. Not because I distrusted Claire, but because I'd learned the hard way that clarity prevents chaos. Everything would be split equally, with provisions for both of us regardless of marital status or children. Because family isn't about biology or inheritance. It's about showing up even after the lies are exposed. As I walked home that evening, I passed a baby stroller. The mother smiled at me, and for the first time, I didn't feel that pang of resentment or suspicion. Just hope. Maybe someday Claire would have children, real ones, born of love and honesty. And when she did, I'd be the best aunt they could ask for. Because the real miracle wasn't a fake pregnancy, it was forgiveness, and second chances, and the quiet understanding that sometimes the people who hurt us most are just as lost as we are. Hello guys, hope you enjoy the story. Tell in comments your thoughts. In my opinion, what stays with me about Natalie's story isn't the exposure, it's the aftermath. So many would have cut Claire off completely, and honestly, I might have too. But Natalie chose something harder, patience. She waited to see if her sister's remorse was real. And that's the thing about family betrayal. It's never just about the lie. It's about why someone felt they needed to lie in the first place. Claire wasn't evil. She was desperate for validation in a family that measured worth through achievement. I keep thinking about that moment when Natalie asked for the ultrasound. It wasn't cruel, it was necessary. Sometimes love means refusing to participate in someone else's delusion, even when it hurts. Would I have had her restraint? I hope so. But I know this. After hearing this story, I'll never assume I know what's happening behind someone's perfect facade. What about you? Could you love someone enough to let them fall so they could learn to stand on their own?